let's start our next discussion here, Pat, which was the topic of the week, um, setting up your local directory for success. So Pat mainly put this list together just before the webinar. So we're going to just cover a few key points that you can apply to your local directory, whether you've already launched it or you're about to launch it, just to make sure that you have some of the essential components that'll set your directory up for success.
All right, let's do this.
So Pat put together these 5 ingredients for local directories, and Pat, I'll pass it over to you and let you take it away.
Sure thing. So yeah, we try to really simplify it, give guidance. You'll see a lot of these tips that we give you. We also point out advice that you can follow if you're short on time, which I know is often a challenge for a lot of people starting an online directory. If you have another job or if you have other projects on the go. So we do make sure in these tips we're going to share with you that we also give you tips if you're running out of time or if you don't have enough time to execute on this. So I think this is going to be really helpful to a lot of people here. And we're really focusing on 5 key parts. Like Jason said earlier, writing exciting articles. We'll give you some examples on how you can leverage this both in signing up members or generating additional revenue. You can get creative with your marketing there as well. You're going to want to make sure that you offer some popular deals and events. When it comes to a local directory, just put yourself in the shoes of your users and what is the type of content they're going to want to digest. Why would they come back to your website? And what's nice about deals and events is that deals and events are constantly changing. So it's a source of content that you're going to have to go back to that website. So if they can in any way associate your website with the place you go to find out what's going on tonight or which restaurants might have a happy hour, then you're really going to have some return visitors to your site. Well, so go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, I was going to continue with the simple category structure, and how important it is to keep things simple. Also, high quality images. It's worth the extra time to find quality images on your site, and also elevating the value of your directory, because it's not just the yellow pages anymore, and it's not just here's the businesses in so and so county. You can elevate it by renaming it something more exciting. And all that will contribute to a better experience for the visitor and, again, your potential paying members. So, Pat, I know you had a lot of marketing strategies, not just about publishing the articles, but what to do with them afterwards. And could you share some of those ideas here?
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the techniques I've seen, and I find them to be quite wise, is to write articles that are engaging, but to leverage all that time. So when you're writing an article, it takes time, sometimes it takes money. So you want to make sure that you can do something with that when you're done. So I'll give you an example. If I have a local directory, I may write an article on the top 10 or the top 3 Italian restaurants in my town. And I'll do an in-depth review on all 3 of them. I might even go to each one and take pictures if I really wanted to take it to the extreme level. The reason why I would do all of that is because the end game would be partnering up with restaurants nearby. So once you've published a top 3 Italian restaurants in your town, or a top 10 budget hotels, or a top 10 bread and breakfast, what you can do after you've published that content is you can start approaching businesses as they're signing up to your website, and you can start telling them things like, if you sign up for our top package, I'll make sure to include you in next year's top 3 list of best Italian restaurants. And the restaurant then has a marketing asset of their own. So there's a limited amount of spaces on how many you can have in the top 3. It's a little bit of the Yelp model where there's a bit of pay to play, but it does work, especially if you're running into trouble signing up those first members, because it's difficult for them to understand why they need to join. So for them to say, really, if I pay now, then you'll include me in next year's, or you're going to do an article on my restaurant and include us in the top 10, and that's something they can share on their Facebook page. That's something they can even print and put on their reception desk, and that also helps you promote your brand to their users as well.
That's right. Again, elevating the value of the whole experience and what the website is about. And Also, Pat and Gabe actually put together this list. If you don't have time to write content, you can obviously hire content writers. You can also pace yourself and do one a week or one every 2 weeks. And you should also choose your topics carefully. So you want to make sure you're writing about things that have the most value for your potential readers, and that's going to add the most value for your website. If you were interested in hiring content writers, here's 3 websites. I think Pat favored textbroker.com. But you can also go to upwork.com and fiverr.com and find people to write articles for you. And it's not just articles to rank in Google, but you want to create articles that even if they don't rank in Google, they would be great assets to share on your social media page. So it gets, hopefully one of the articles go viral, but eventually people start passing the article around among friends and so on. All right, popular deals and events. Pat, I'm gonna stick with you on this one because again, you're the master with the auto recurring events.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Jason. The auto recurring events, which is one of the Brilliant Directories add-ons, is my favorite content hack. There's no doubt about that. Where you're going to see how important it is if somebody clicks on any section of your directory, and let's say they click on member, they do a member search, or they want to go to the blog section, or they want to go to the events section. It's really important that you, as the directory owner, make sure that people are seeing a lot of content. It's critical. If I go to your event section and there's 8 events in the entire directory, as a general user, I may not view you as a quality website that I need to come back to search for events again. And as a business, I may doubt your reach and how much exposure you're going to get me by adding an event on your website. So the recurring events allows you to find events locally that happen every week or happen every day or happen every month and so forth. And a great tip there is to look for daily specials. So Taco Tuesdays happens every Tuesday. Happy Hour happens every day from 5 to 7. So if you find a bar that has a happy hour, you just need to advertise that event one time. And with it recurring daily, you're always going to have that displaying on your events section, which I think is a really great content hack.
Yeah, and over time, once you find all the town's recurring events, your website is going to have a lot of value. And then obviously you can publish events and deals that are just one-time deals as well. But this is a great way for you to proactively add content to your site. Again, using high-quality images to accompany each post, and your site will look like it has value. And who will it look like it has value to? Maybe you don't have a lot of visitors, but maybe you're pitching, again, potential paying members, and having that content there will give you an advantage and an edge to hopefully close the sale if you're pitching people to sign up to your website and pay to join your website.
And I know a lot of people have trouble with their social media marketing. I go to a lot of Facebook pages and people are linking to it from their website, but there's not a lot of activity there. The recurring events ensures you always have something to talk about. And when your members see that you're working to promote their business, if they go to your Facebook page and your social media accounts and they see that you're promoting Taco Tuesday or Karaoke Fridays, and you're promoting your members' content, then they're going to see more value in joining that. It's not just, like Jason said, a directory listing. It's a marketing tool for them as well.
And then after publishing exactly what Pat said, you want to use these assets, both the articles, let me go back one slide, both the articles and the popular deals and events, you want to use them to build relationships with these local organizations. You want your website to become a household name for the local area. And the way to do that, it's hard to just cross your fingers and hope that it happens. Being even just a little proactive will go a long way, and building those relationships will kind of help you grow your brand name within the community. So don't be afraid to contact the local businesses, whether it's by phone or email, and let them know that you are promoting them. They're going to appreciate that. All right, simple categories to navigate. One of the pitfalls that we've noticed over the last half decade at this point, a lot of people set up their site They spend 6 months coming up with their category structure. You're researching all the competitors, making sure you got all the categories covered, that you didn't miss a thing. You're going to have the most categories on your website, and it's going to be the most complete website for your industry or your location. But Pat, what is the downside of having thousands of categories on your site?
It's going to be extremely difficult to produce quality search results and to provide a quality experience for the end users of the website.
But what do you mean? I have thousands of categories. How can a visitor have a bad experience if I have thousands of categories?
Because if they search for category 768 and you don't have multiple members that are showing up in that search result, it's going to be an empty experience for them. They're going to feel like, oh, this isn't the place to come to find X, because you've given them the option to do that, and they're going to continue searching elsewhere because they have that in their minds that they need to find that type of business, and they're likely then going to jump to another website.
Correct. And one strategy to overcome that is to simply start with broader category names. So as a simple example, let's say legal services is one of your category. Now you could name every type of lawyer that exists in the world as the next category to break down to, or you can just have a legal services category, and you can search for a lawyer, a paralegal, or a court reporter, and just leave it at that, or just stick with legal services and just keep it open ended. I think that would be a better idea than listing hundreds and thousands of categories.
And there's another angle that people don't think about often, Jim. I think it's critically important when you put yourself in your members' shoes. If there are 500 categories, if I am a restaurant and one of the options is a type of cuisine, let's say it's a Greek cuisine, the thinking is, well, if I offer Greek cuisine, then this member will be happy because they're a Greek restaurant. However, that restaurant's going to get very few clicks because it's unlikely somebody's going to click on that restaurant. But if you just have restaurants as a top level category and you perhaps you do tags, or in the description it says it's a Greek restaurant, if I know that everybody goes and funnels to a main restaurant page, and you tell me if I pay more, I can show up at the top of that page as an owner, as a business owner, the restaurant owner, I see the value of that because I know you have a primary restaurant section and that you funnel all your traffic there, and it's in my best interest to get more exposure because somebody might not be looking for a Greek restaurant. They just want a restaurant. I want to attract more customers, and the way to do that is to highlight my business to people that just want to go out and eat locally.
That is actually the best reason I can think of, because that will help your bottom line revenue. It's going to encourage when you group the members together. Granted, they're just all restaurants, but you're going to want to be at the top of that restaurants list, and that's going to incentivize you to want to upgrade to the level that gets you to the top of that list. I think that's great, Pat. Thank you. And then Gabe had this suggestion of focus on filling one category at a time. What does he mean? Filling it with custard or filling it with stuffing? What does Gabe mean by filling one category at a time?
I believe what he means is, and I love that tip by Gabe, is just give yourself that challenge. Say, I am not allowed to introduce another category till I've completed at least 10 profiles. I've uploaded photos, I've uploaded content, I've uploaded their links. And once I have 10 complete profiles on that category, then I'm granted the ability to add another category. It's a great measure for those that have trouble limiting the amount of categories they add, and I think it's a great tip for those that need help with that.
Yeah, and then I think everything that we talked about this categories is actually super important, and it's overlooked because of that same reason. You just look at your competitors and you get all the categories from all your competitors to create a super list. But the last thing on this list is, and we can see it in the travel guide theme, is link your best categories around your site. So in this case, activities and attractions, these are our top level categories. So accommodation, food and dining, professional services, and things to do. And we're going to make sure that there's a good number of members in these categories, and we're just going to link 4 on the homepage. so that the user has a good experience. And then in the main menu, the most popular categories would be things to do or food and dining for a local area. So those are the two top level categories we've linked in the main menu. And then anything else, you can go to the browse by category page and look at all the categories available. Again, on this site, we just kept them very simple, just to use some simple examples here. All right, number 4, high quality images. Important with 3 exclamation points.
Yes, sir.
You know, between Pat and myself, we see dozens of site examples every day. You know, whether it's things coming in through the support department or people asking, you know, for customizations or for help with their sites, and we see all these sites. It's surprising how many blurry images that we come across, and we always mention it, you know, to the person. That's why I want to make this a really important point. You can have a website that, you know, its purpose or whatever it is, it's not really that special, or you're just starting out and competitors are definitely more powerful than you are in the industry. The one thing you can do that you really have control over is using high quality images. And there's a few things to consider with high quality images besides them being not blurry. So let's go down this list here and see what's important to look out for to make sure you're using high quality images. The first one is don't settle for blurry images. So if you're searching Google for images, maybe you want to see how a type of image will look on your site. You know, you might want to consider finding, we put a list of websites here, places where you can, you know, Google Images is not that good and you're not really supposed to use them, but you can go to free stock photo websites. We have a list of 4 here that Gabe is going to share in the chat, where you can find high quality, high resolution images so you don't have to settle for blurry images. The next one is don't use images with white backgrounds. And Pat, do we have an example of that by any chance, of white backgrounds?
One with not that I can think of.
All right, imagine if this sky wasn't here. I wish I had an example, and you know, it was just like people standing behind a white background. You want to avoid that because generally the background of your site is white, and it just creates a lot of empty white space. Now, if here's an example where a white background would be okay. You know, there's a picture of a lady here, and around her is white space, but it's done on purpose. It's not a background image like on the home page. If we had used images if we just put a picture of a steak here for food and dining without the other stuff behind it, it would not look like a good image. It would just look like a steak floating around on a plate. With nothing behind it. So you want to make sure you have a background for the subject of your photo. Proper image dimensions. On your website, you probably have areas where rectangles fit nicely or shape images that are more square. You have to be conscientious of the proper image dimensions. And if you're not familiar with the exact dimensions to use, at least make sure if it's supposed to be a horizontal rectangle or a vertical rectangle, or if it should be a square. Because what you don't want to happen is, if you notice the background picture here with all these umbrellas, if this was a skinny vertical image, you know, just a tall rectangle, it would get stretched to fit the space, and then that would create a blurry image. So be aware of the type of image you're using on your site, wherever it is, whether it's a background image or an image you're featuring on your homepage. Even these images are rectangles. They're not squares because the space that they're going to fill is rectangular. So I'm just trying to make it just really bring attention to this point because we see it quite often where using high quality images is overlooked, and it's the one thing that can really add credibility and value to a new start a new site just starting out. And then the last thing, don't use small images that need to stretch to fill the space. Use the proper dimensions and size for your images. The 4 sites that we just quickly did a Google search for free stock photos: Pexels.com, Unsplash.com, freephotos.cc, and StockSnap.io. We checked them out. They're all great places to get free high-quality photos for your website. You just have to do a keyword search for what you're looking for. And Pat, I'll also pass this back to you because this was one of those great ideas that you had about elevating the value of the directory itself.
All right, thank you very much, Jason. So yes, you definitely want to make sure that it's not just a directory. You want to come up with some creative concepts that say this is the place where you come to do this, and whatever that might be. You may want to really leverage reviews. You may want to really leverage the events or the deals portion. But what you want to do, or you want to make sure that you're sending out a message that you do something, that you're not just a directory, that there's a reason why someone would come with to your website. The preferred guide, I really like that. You can make sure that everything is sorted by best reviews when people come to the site initially, and let people know that this is the place where you come to leave reviews and to find out which businesses are the best in the local area, reviewed by locals. And if you can just increase the value and not just make it a listing, then it's going to be much easier to convert those members.
Yeah, and again, this is just choosing words. We're not doing heavy customizations or workarounds. We're just using better words that get people excited, and choosing the verbiage around your site from this homepage to the sign up pages to what you call your directory will increase, and definitely it correlates to more member signups on your site when you use favorable text and imagery simply to encourage people to join your site and participate in clicking around your site, even if they're just a visitor. So I'll just read this short list here. By adding by renaming the directory, you'll be adding more perceived value. More members will want to join your site. Visitors will care about the results they find because you're making the members, the business listings, seem like something very special. It's a curated list. They're hot spots for that local area. You're making it exciting and adding value for the visitor. And then also that adds over to your overall brand, which was what Pat was explaining. It just makes your website seem more important because it has a purpose. And that's going to help with your credibility when you have a purpose, rather than having a website that really has no purpose and it's just a simple business registry with no aim or focus. So those were the 5 tips that hopefully you can apply to your local business directory. We are using those strategies on the local travel guide theme. So if you need a guide or a template or a format to rework your existing local city directory, you may want to take some pieces from the local travel guide, or this theme now is available to install on your site. So you can email the support team and ask them to install the local travel guide theme on your site. And if you don't have a site, obviously you could just go to the Brilliant Directories page, choose a plan, and get your site started today. And you can ask for the local travel guide theme as well. Great tip of the week this week, Pat and Gabe. A really good topic there, I think, and ties into the travel guide theme.